And gentlemen, Gummy Ghost here. Today I wanted to do a bit of an interesting video. I don't know how many other people are actually dealing with this issue, but I know it's at least been discussed on YouTube before, which is basically that Oblivion Remastered has some severe balance issues. What I mean by this is when you level up, you get way too many points to level up, and you become absurdly overpowered before level 20. Basically, you can max out like 4 or 5 stats before level 20, and that's very, very absurd. There's also issues with leveling in this game because of the ways they've changed the combat. So, for example, melee weapons and archery level way too slowly, and magic levels way too quickly. And they have not patched this as of right now. I hope they do in the future, but I wanted to make a video that kind of goes over ways that I deal with these imbalance issues, and it actually makes for a very fun playthrough. So getting started, let's go ahead and look at the birth signs, and I'll give you my ideas. So the balance problem in Oblivion Remastered when it comes to leveling up is that you have too many points to allocate into the special stats, basically. You know, like agility, speed, and all that. So I try to avoid any birth signs that give me bonuses to those stats. So I don't like the thief, I don't like the steed, I don't like the warrior. The ones that I really, really dig are pretty much like the three. The lord, obviously, because if you're just going for practicality, the lord is just a good buff, like for any character, really. But I personally like the apprentice, which I wouldn't recommend, honestly, unless you were picking Breton as a race, because I really love the apprentice for the fact that it nerfs Breton, because Breton is really, really overpowered. However, the character that I like to make in the game looks best as a Breton, so I really, really like the Apprentice Stone. Not only that, but when you have a weakness to magicka modifier on your character, enemy AI is a bit more aggressive towards you. So you kind of have to be smarter about your positioning, you know, when you're using even conjuration, because again, enemies will often smell the weakness on you and come for you anyways. Then, of course, we have the Mage, which just increases your magicka by 50 points. This is more preferable than Apprentice if you are not playing as a Breton, essentially. There's no drawbacks to this one. And you could also play as an Altmer and get that magicka bonus up too, and get a much weaker magicka weakness penalty. So those are the ones I like to go with. I like to go with the stones that are pretty much useful, but do not give bonuses. To any particular stat. I also don't like the spell birth signs either. I think that's incredibly useless. I don't know who it's for, really. Next thing I wanted to cover is, of course, you know, classes, because you can get around some of these leveling issues by just making the right custom class. I really had to reset some of my earlier characters because I was kind of min-maxing towards efficiency, and I wound up being way too overpowered. I remember certain skills I literally think are overpowered and shouldn't be used either. So that's going to be a bit of a deeper discussion here today. So let's just get into it. So, you know, we have my custom class here. You can look at it and make some assumptions already, but first off, when it comes to specialization, you want to pick combat or stealth. I like stealth because I prefer to level slower in this game. If you pick combat, that's going to be your sword, your board, your archery, and maybe one of your armor stats. It really depends. But that's pretty much the best option for any adventurer character who engages in combat. Let's just be straight up. However, I don't like leveling my archery and sword that fast anyways. I actually like how slow it is personally. So I actually go with stealth personally. That's a personal choice. Keep in mind that depending on your build, you're obviously going to want to pick combat over stealth, right? But I pick it because Mercantile levels not perfectly, painfully slow. And I think the same thing about Sneak. So, in general, I think stealth is a good starting choice for me. I think for, you know, selling things off and getting your mercantile to like level 50 as early as possible, it's pretty nice to have. So that's why I go with that. It's literally just because of quality of life. Before I want to move on real quick, I do want to at least explain why I'm not advocating you level into the magic specialization. Basically, magic skills in this game level way too quickly. So even if you want to be a mage as a primary character, right? Even if you're going to use destruction, you're abstaining from weaponry altogether. I'm telling you, just don't pick magic as a specialization. It's already cracked. You don't need any of these bonuses. Trust me. Okay, so now moving on into attributes. This is going to be a bit more like up to your build, really, minus a few stats. So like every stat is like relatively useful, except for personality and luck. So when it comes to like what you pick here in the beginning of the game, just stick with like things that support your primary build. I went with intelligence and willpower because of magic. Let's just go over all of them. Why not? I really like strength as an attribute because it gives you carry weight and health. So strength is way better in this game than it was in the original game. So that's a great one to pick as a starting bonus. Intelligence, pretty all right. You just get more magicka out of this one, really. You know, ignore the abilities it supports because magical skills level very, very quickly. Willpower, regenerate magicka, and increases your maximum fatigue. I actually think willpower is extremely good, even if you are a warrior character. So willpower, I would put up there as like one of the better ones overall. Like I could drop intelligence for strength. I could drop intelligence for endurance, even if I wanted to be tankier. But I don't think I'm dropping willpower. I gotta be real. Agility is just, you know, damage with short swords, daggers, and bows, as well as your light armor skills. And yeah, it increases maximum fatigue and it helps with fatigue generation. I had to make sure I read that correctly to not like tongue twist that one. But yeah, agility's all right, but it only really supports bow classes. Speed is actually really important depending on your armor, your character's like active equip load, basically the things that they're wearing. Weapons can affect how fast you move. Armor can affect how fast you move. So depending on what you have going on, like if I carry a claymore versus a dagger or a short sword, I actually want more speed on my character. I know that sounds weird, but early game, I try to like, you know, use background bonuses. Like for Breton, I can choose High Rock to get like a little extra speed. But yeah, speed is going to be determined on what armor you are wearing and how comfortable you feel moving that fast. Can you avoid damage at the speed you're currently at? That's what it's all about. Endurance is just raw health. It is absolutely the tankiest stat in the game. If you are trying to tank physical damage without necessarily the use of high protection or high armor rating, this is really the only way to do it, aside from strength. And then personality is literally useless. Like, because of illusion's busted nature, where you can make a charm spell at level 1, basically, that completely breaks the game, personality is actually useless, both in terms of. Because what it does is it raises the natural affinity that characters and NPCs have towards you, basically. Totally useless. And then luck. Okay, so luck is like marginally useful. You should never ever pick this as one of your primary attributes, of course. But basically, it gives you minor buffs like every 5 levels. And oddly enough, it makes armor a lot better of a skill. Like you'll break hammers way less often. You'll also break lockpicks way less often when doing auto attempts. So that's what luck will do for you. All right, now loosely tying into the theme of this video, we're going to talk about our starting skills, our major skills, if you will. These actually can matter. I actually learned that certain skills are just overpowered. Certain skills are actually way better than I thought they were, and even useful to my character. But let's just get into it, starting with our combat skills. Armor is pretty good. Starting at 25 right away gives you the ability to repair enchanted equipment, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the best thing that armor could ever do. If you don't pick armor early on, you can just level it by getting training. I actually recommend doing this if you don't pick armor for whatever reason. Like, I did it for a gimmick reason, really. But armor is a good skill. Athletics, do not pick athletics. There is no reason to pick athletics. Athletics levels perfectly fine in this game. It's very satisfying to just level it yourself. Do not pick athletics. Period. Full stop. I don't even care if it's role playing. Blade, this is one you need to pick if you're going to use swords, obviously. I really don't even need to explain it that much, but the TLDR is blades, one-handed blades specifically, are the best weapon class in the game due to the fact that stacking is the real way you do damage on Master. So blade is honestly one of the best skills in the game. And physical damage in this game, like, you know, melee weapons, non-magic skills, they level way too slowly. So always pick your melee weapon as your primary skill. Always, always, always. Block, you also need to pick this. Even if you are blocking with your staff, if you're blocking with a bow, only if you are a hands-free mage should you not pick block. It is such a good skill. It actually, like, even with like 25 investment, it makes a massive difference. Like the block skill itself, not the passives, but the block skill itself makes a massive negation on overall damage coming into you. So absolutely, you should pick block if you are a combat. Like if you use weaponry at all, use it. Even if you're an archer, blocking a physical attack can save your life. So use block. Blunt, if you're going to use blunt over blade, use blunt. That's all I really have to say. Blunt is inferior to blade in almost every way, and I'm not even going to get into it. There are other videos that cover that. Hand to hand, same story, not a good skill. You should only pick it if that's the build you want to run. And then, of course, heavy armor, probably the best armor class in the game. Heavy armor scales with endurance, which for physical damage reduction, that is the best thing that you want to have. So yes, heavy armor, I would say, for actual reduction, is so superior to light armor, it's almost silly. Oh gosh, how do I get to the... There we go, there we go. Alchemy, okay, alchemy, the only time you're allowed to use alchemy is if you are a heavy armor build because heavy armor reduces spell effectiveness, and I can see the argument that you want to support a heavy armor class with alchemy. You can get protection spells to cap off your armor in really tough situations. You can burst heal rapidly. Um, However, for the majority of characters that can use restoration as a support, I do not recommend alchemy because it's absurdly overpowered. This skill levels way too quickly. It breaks your economy. It makes you play in this weird style where you're constantly opening menus, poison applying, drinking invisibility potions, cheating combat by, you know, drinking protection potions and healing potions in mass. They broke the end game skill, and they basically let you brew double potions in spite of alchemy already being absurdly overpowered in the first place. So I actually would argue do not pick alchemy because of how overpowered it is. I actually think for a master mode playthrough where you're considering balance, this is an overpowered skill. It also destroys looting because why would you pick up loot when you can just keep crafting potions and selling the potions instead? So I actually would say alchemy ruins looting. It makes you not want to loot, and it just breaks the leveling balance in the game. It levels far too quickly. Alteration. Alteration is just good quality of life, honestly. If you want to use water breathing and feather very early on, then honestly, this one's not one of the worst magical skills to pick. However, I actually abstain from using most magical skills because they're insanely easy to level. And alteration, pretty easy to level too, honestly. You can just keep casting spells on yourself when you're running through town, so again, like, not a very good one to pick. Conjuration, do not pick this one. Straight up, go ahead and buy Bound Dagger and Bound Helmet and just spam that, get it to level 25. You will not regret this. This skill levels stupid fast on its own. No mage specialization, no major skill. And I'll even show you my character later that one of my master skills is Conjuration, and it's a minor skill. Destruction, I actually feel differently about this. If you're not forcing destruction to level, it actually does take some time to level for me. And having the destruction bonus early on helps me get access to certain enchantments very easily. I don't have to buy as many spells. And I like this one as an actual major skill. Out of all of the magic skills as a major skill, this is the one that rubs me the right way. I'm leveling it naturally, and it seems to be pretty good with the major skill investment. So I'm very happy with that. Illusion. Illusion only really helps you if you know, invest in the 25. It helps you get your foot in the door, but trust me, this one levels very quickly as well, especially once you get to Shadow Walk. So just make yourself a light spell to level up. and then just get to like 50, and then the real, that's what's weird about illusion. It's not really good until you hit to 50 because of the invisibility spell that you get. That is like completely ridiculous in this game. So yeah, illusion's a weird one. Mysticism, complete trash. Only use this to get soul trap to make black soul gems and to enchant with soul trap. That's really the whole point of mysticism, is just, and you can level it easily. You buy detect life in the Imperial City Market District at discount spells. Yeah, it's a very easy skill to level. Don't make this a major skill. Restoration, same deal. All magic skills pretty much level way too quickly, so there's no reason to pick restoration as a primary skill. There's absolutely no reason. I keep scrolling to the other menu. Okay, and now as far as our armor skills and stuff go, you want to pick your arm. Hold on. Let me just cover it in the stealth section. I'm losing my brain here. I lost my mind. So acrobatics, do not invest in this as a major skill. You will level it very easily, very naturally. You can even power level this by jumping under a door frame repeatedly and drinking a fatigue potion. Do not level acrobatics. It will happen naturally. Light armor, not better than heavy armor, but if you're using light armor, then pick your armor skills. They need help leveling. They need that major skill investment. Do it, do it, do it. Same thing with marksmen. They need that major skill investment. They don't level fast enough. And if you're using bows, you need to pick marksmen as a major skill if you're using bows. Right. Mercantile. Everyone should pick this as a major skill. This is one of my S tier major skills. Absolutely. This levels far too slowly, and it needs all the help you can give it. If you're not picking Thief as a starting class, then you better have it as a major skill, or you're going to be leveling so slowly that you're going to have to sell mountains of gold to even get to level 50. It's not worth it. Just get that. It's so much better. Security is absolute trash. Don't do it. I'm not even going to explain. Sneak, I actually do think it's not important, right? Because illusion trumps sneak completely as a skill. Illusion completely trumps sneak as a skill. However, for fun, I like to level sneak. I think that having sneak with it gives me kind of multiple options in stealth. I'm not completely seen in shadow and stuff like that. And you passively level this skill a bit better when it's a major skill. Absolutely think you should go with sneak if it's a part of your character. And speechcraft is also useless. Again, you can use illusion to completely bypass this system entirely, so do not invest in speechcraft. All right, I'm starting to get a little tongue-tied, but I think I got to the end of our major skills. So before I move on into leveling and how you should level your character for master mode to balance the game proper, let's go over our skills real quick, because I wanted to demonstrate why you don't want to pick magical skills as major skills. So my character is level 25. This is Penelope. You know, I'll introduce you. She's a wicked witch, as you can clearly see. If it wasn't obvious, I don't know how to help you. Let's look at her major skills. It's Blade, Block, Destruction, Light Armor, Marksman, Mercantile, and Sneak. Now, I want you to look at the magic skills that I actually use, and I want you to notice something. Conjuration is at 100. So, mind you, these are minor skills. I didn't invest in them whatsoever. I'm not a mage. I'm a thief. I didn't major conjuration either. Okay? But that thing's at 100 already. It was very easy to get there. Illusion, it's also turbo leveling. Restoration is also a minor skill, right? I use it less. It's better than my blade by a country mile. So see how bad your physical skills level in comparison to your magic skills. Like, and look at destruction. Even destruction as my major skill is still pretty leveled out. Like, in spite of me stating earlier, oh, I like using this as a major skill, it's still leveled out pretty quickly. Even, you know, being a major skill. I mean, I guess that one makes a bit more sense, right? But still. And then even, you know, like I said earlier, don't invest into the acrobatics. Look at that. 84. That's just from jumping around, dude. Like, I don't need that either. Where's my athletics at? 55? That could be a lot better, I'll be real. I'm actually shocked it's that low, but to be fair, I do spam acrobatics, as you can see. As you can see. because I did not power level my acrobatics in this playthrough at all. Actually, I did a little bit to get to 25, but that's so you can dodge. It's like the best skill in acrobatics, by the way. Anyways, just a demonstration. All right. So last but not least, we've got the leveling screen. I'm going to teach you guys how to level up as to not be completely overpowered in Oblivion Remastered. Basically, the problem with leveling up in Oblivion Remastered is you get way too many attribute points. And if you've been paying attention this far into the video, you would know that attribute points, like towards the, strength, agility, speed, all that stuff, you get too many of them, and that's why I avoid birth signs that give them bonuses and classes that give them bonus, like that kind of stuff. I just avoid giving bonuses to the attributes because you get a lot of points towards them. The main problem I have with Oblivion Remastered's leveling is not the flexibility, it's not that you can choose, which I've heard those things being criticized, which I don't understand. The developers of Remastered said they wanted a leveling system more akin to Skyrim, so it has more player choice and more flexibility. I think they achieved it with this, but where I think they just went absurdly wrong is they gave you way too many points, and they put no caps on how much you could invest into each skill. They removed that for quality of life, but in my opinion, an easy compromise that would easily fix the problems I have with the system is they just give you too many virtue points. You get 12 virtue points per level, and it's far too much. The way I mitigate this every level, and you can check my character stats right now to confirm, is I'll just put 1 point into luck. That takes 4 out of the pool. It gives me minor buffs to, auto picks during locks. And then it also gives me a bit of extra hammers when I'm using Armorer. But luck doesn't really influence my stats too much out of that. It's a negligible bonus to other stats at most. But like I said, you're just getting rid of those extra 4 points that you don't need. The other thing you could do is dump 5 into personality and then proceed to level 2 stats that you actually want to level. And you can level them any way you want to, really. There's no wrong way to do it unless you're picking a bad stat, of course, but essentially this is how I will level up, is usually I'll just pick a point of luck, and then I'll dump whatever stat I'm trying to level out in, which would be strength at this point. And then I got a little bit points of speed, because I'm going to bring that back up a little bit. And that's how I'll level up. That's really all there is to it, is basically you give yourself the curse of luck. Each level up, you want to level luck or personality. And this way, you won't be spending an absurd amount of points towards your build per level. You will scale better to the game. It feels more balanced this way. I feel like the major issue with the balance when it comes to leveling is just the amount of points they give you. I think it's a little absurd. So that about wraps up my video, guys. I've went over every little minute detail on how I try to deal with the balance issues in this game. It's not, completely easy, and it doesn't really fix all the problems with remasters, imbalance problems, let's just put it that way. This isn't an excuse in saying the developer did a good job with balancing. They clearly didn't. Is the unfortunate reality of it. But I do feel like a lot of people aren't approaching the game from let's have fun with the sandbox, you know what I mean? You kind of have to make your own fun in these games and have fun with your character, and I feel like min-maxing just isn't the way to do that here. You're gonna get way too overpowered way too early, and I feel like with this strategy, you can avoid doing that and having to reset your character at level 25 because you just feel too strong. Difficulty is a huge part of the enjoyment for me, and I hope it is for you as well, and that you benefited from this video. This has been Gummy Ghost. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is probably going to be the first video I upload to this channel. It's pretty exciting.